Okay, let's try this. Good afternoon. Just want to share my latest blog regarding Donald Trump and James Comey. Mr. Comey, former director of the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigations, has a new book coming out where he describes the approach, temperament, attitude, morality of President Trump. So I just want to share a few thoughts. Does his uncouth behavior, alleged uncouth behavior, some may say it's not alleged, we see it on TV, equate to bad morals and impeachment? When I read the latest article, today's article in Reuters describing Mr. Comey's book, I could only help but think about Heath Ledger and the line that he had from The Dark Knight: Batman has no jurisdiction. I thought of this line today after reading a report in Reuters about the FBI's James Comey, his assessment of the morality of the current president, and book being set for release tomorrow, and how he's going to detail Mr. Comey's 4 months, his 4-month tenure in the Trump administration. Mr. Comey asserts that Mr. Trump is morally unfit to sit in the Oval Office. The assertion is likely to lift the spirits of many anti-Trump voters who have been hoping that the president's alleged links to the Russian government will turn into a political noose and lead to an early exit from the White House. Mr. Trump has been relatively out of the media spotlight for the past week, given the congressional hearings that addressed Facebook's privacy issues, but he's managed to reassert himself back into the headlines with last Friday's missile attacks on Syria's chemical weapons facilities. So I suspect that the attention is going to divert away from Syria this week, long enough for the Democrats to start pushing their talking points around Mr. Comey's book. So far, the most tawdry event noted in Mr. Comey's assessment of Mr. Trump is an alleged incident involving Mr. Trump's presence in Moscow, in a Moscow hotel room where 2 prostitutes were allegedly urinating on themselves. And being in the presence of this type of behavior would be off-putting to most Americans. Mr. Trump has denied witnessing the event, and Mr. Comey admits he has no firm evidence that the event happened or that Mr. Trump was even present if the event happened at all. So one question that comes to my mind is this: assuming the event occurred, should the event give buoyancy to arguments that Mr. Trump should be impeached? My answer is no. Article 2, Section 4 of the United States Constitution reads as follows: the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. The event allegedly happened in 2013, almost 4 years before Mr. Trump took office. In addition, if watching prostitutes pee on themselves in Moscow is legal, I see a very weak argument for convicting him of a crime. Remember, Batman has no jurisdiction in Moscow. Another question I have is, what is immoral behavior, and does such behavior disqualify a president? Morals are defined as standards of behavior or beliefs concerning what is and what is not acceptable for a person to do. Morals are personal codes until society expresses its disagreement with them and codifies that dissatisfaction into law or statute. As head of a democratic nation state, Mr. Trump is expected by many Americans to manage his personal code within the parameters of community expectations. But for a man who reportedly has no problem expressing a tough guy Queen's persona, being a bore may not go over well with a progressive socialite from San Francisco. Such behavior, whether it occurred prior to or during the presidency, may be considered as disqualifying him as head of state, if not head of government. Going forward, the allegations will not mean much for capital markets. They do not speak to Mr. Trump's management of public capital or the institutions that manage or influence the allocation or distribution of capital. The allegations do put a further dent in Mr. Trump's ability to persuade, and that's probably the most important power that the president has. And in the political marketplace, bad optics drives down a political actor's brand and market value. Just wanted to share again some of my thoughts regarding this book that's coming out tomorrow. I have not seen it, read it, no advanced copies. I don't know I don't know how much one should expect to glean from the book, being that Mr. Comey only spent 4 months with Mr. Trump. Some may say 4 months is enough to get to make some type of assessment to the man's character. I don't know, but Tuesday should be pretty busy in the media as people buy the book for the first time, read it, and make their assessments of the president. Anyway, feel free to visit my blog. I'm at www.altandrew.com, and I will see you later.